Forfeit the game before somebody else takes you out of the frame and put your name to shame, cover up your face. You can't run the race, the pace is too fast, it just won't last.
Ain't no way, ain't no how.
Wrestling Society Nation, as always, put your hands together and assemble. This is the B&B show, Professor Bear, and me, the prediction god, Kevin the Blade Hayes, as always. Today, we're talking about something that I was a big fan of. I was a big fan of his gimmick, and so we're going to talk about that gimmick. We're talking about Hollywood Hulk Hogan today, and oh no, Bear, what's wrong? We are talking about the Hollywood Hulkster brother. What you gonna do when the NWO runs on you?
So full disclosure, he didn't tell me this because he knew I would have said no. He set me up, y'all. He set me up.
This isn't just Hulk Hogan. This is NWO Hogan.
But as your wrestling bear, I'm gonna troop through it. I'm gonna give you my unbiased opinion.
You can give your
I ain't gonna lie to you like that. I'm giving you a biased opinion of this bastard.
Hold on a second. This isn't the I am a real American. This is the Hollywood Hogan. This is Hollywood, man. This is the best. This is the best Hogan gimmick. This was one of the best gimmicks ever, man. Oh my!
This is the true Hogan. This was the true Hogan. Yes, I will give you that. It was the true Hogan.
Well, everybody knows exactly who this man is, and everybody knows exactly what this gimmick is, and everybody knows exactly what this group is. The NWO, the New World Order, for life. And man, the NWO, just a little background, even though I'm sure everybody knows, as always, started out as the Outsiders. Scott Hall, Kevin Nash. They came out to the ring, did a little stuff, pissed a lot of people off, and then all of a sudden they were like, yeah, we got a third man. Went out at Bash at the Beach 1996, started to wrestle. There's no third guy out there. So they were like, all right, well, if there's no third man, they were just screwing with us. All of a sudden at the end of the match, Hulk Hogan comes in and you're like, oh man, Hulk Hogan's here to save the day. All of a sudden, boom, he leg drops Randy Savage. It cuts the meanest promo of all time. I am in love with that promo. I'm in love with the heel turn. Mean Gene comes out there. He says, I've known you for years. Why did you do this? And Hulk Hogan goes, well, let me tell you something, Mean Gene. How about you tell all these people to shut up? And there is trash everywhere. Woo! And Hulk Hogan goes, you could call this the New World Order, brother. And the New World Order was born. And bye-bye to the red and yellow gimmick.
The best thing about, well, two things about this to me was the greatest. Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Oh my gosh, man.
Bobby, like I told y'all for years he was no good. I told you didn't want to believe it. And I'm yelling back at my TV, and I kept saying, Bobby, I believed you. I knew you would tell the truth.
And Tony Schiavone, and tell me, what did Tony Schiavone say? Go ahead, tell me.
And Hulk Hogan, you can go to hell.
The best one is so Bobby knew when Hogan came out. Bobby said, "Whose side is he on?" And then the best one, the most iconic line after it. All of a sudden, you hear Hulk Hogan has betrayed WCW. Oh my gosh, what a classic, man!
Yes, it was.
Classic.
There's nobody. I don't care who you are. You can sit there and tell a lie if you want to. Nobody saw it coming.
Hell no. Hell no. And the reason being is because Hulk Hogan, he was Hulk Hogan. It's like, seriously, I could have expected John Cena to come out and do that before Hulk Hogan, to be completely honest. Because Hulk Hogan was eat your vitamins, say your prayers, make a wish, kids, a real American, strong boy. That's who he was.
Everybody was tired of that gimmick. Hogan was getting booed out the place before.
There was people crying because he turned that night. There's videos of people crying and screaming, "How could you, Hogan?" in the front row at Bash at the Beach, man. They were crying tears because of that. And there was so much trash in the ring. And oh my gosh. And the NWO took off. Long story short, NWO got a lot of members. So much to the point where NWO had to split and become Wolfpack and then NWO. And yeah, but anyway, that's another video for another time. We'll get more into the NWO. Today we're going to be talking about a specific, you could even call him the leader at some point. Hollywood Hogan.
Hogan always the leader. And hey, no matter what anyone wants to say, even I will admit this, without Hogan, there is no NWO.
Yeah, and here's the, like, Hulk Hogan, I am not a fan of eat your vitamins, say your prayers, Hulk Hogan, the real American. And the reason is he's too much of a babyface. I mean, I'm not a fan of that. It's just like, that's why I'm not a fan of John Cena. It's like, okay, I want somebody to come out and the reason being is Hollywood Hogan is the definition of cool. Okay, he is the definition of cool. He came out with the shades. He had the brown beard now. He had the all black. He would pretend to play the guitar when he won the championship. They would spray paint. They were literally the definition of cool. There wasn't a single. You watched WCW. Was there, how many people in there had NWO signs and shirts on when they would come out?
Most times they were, if I had to take a percentage, it was 75% NWO.
Exactly.
Anytime.
Exactly. I mean, and it even got bigger when Hulk Hogan came out to face the Giant for the WCW championship. And it was at Hog Wild. And then he defeated the Giant. And what did he do? He spray painted the belt. Oh my God. Oh my God.
That was another reason why I hated Hogan. Hogan disgraced that championship. My championship. That was the championship of true wrestling fans.
And guess what? After that, it was referred to as the NWO title, brother. and then after that, he became champion. Basically, I mean, he started a feud with Lex Luger and the Giant, and then Dennis Rodman became friends with them. They were smoking cigars together. And then in 1997 on Nitro, Hogan did lose the title to Luger. And against Luger with the torture rack, and then
2 days later,
a couple days later, Hogan beat Luger again to retain the title
at Raw a Hall Wild again.
Yep, and we're gonna get I'm gonna say this part so we can keep going, because this is where it kind of got iffy for WCW, and this is where WCW's end came. So along came a man called Sting. And Sting, at the time, basically, when you were watching WCW, you either saw NWO shirts or you saw Sting mask. That was it. Somebody was wearing one or the other or both. There wasn't a person that wasn't wearing any. And Sting waited up there for what, 10, 12, 16 months?
Yeah.
Didn't do a damn thing. And finally, he comes out to the press conference, stares Hogan in the eyes, doesn't even move his eyes, and signs the contract with just looking at him. And then the match happened, and it sucked. And it sucked because they didn't know. The ending was like, what the hell? Because Hogan You know what Hogan did. Hogan didn't want to put him over.
What? Hogan not wanting to do this? That don't sound right.
And so, Bear, you know what happened. Hogan didn't want to put him over. And then apparently towards the beginning of the match, Hogan was like, I'll put him over, but we'll do it with like a fast count. Sting didn't know that. There was no fast count. Sting didn't kick out. Hogan was like, what the hell just happened? And, oh, gosh. Oh, my gosh. And then Bret Hart comes out and, yeah, that was a mess. Basically, I consider that the beginning of the end for WCW. I know everybody considers, and we'll get to this, and we'll get right into this. After all that happened, the finger poke of doom happened, involved Hollywood Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan went out to face Kevin Nash in a match. Hulk Hogan proceeds to poke Kevin Nash. He falls to the ground. He pins him 1, 2, 3. And then they hug.
And let's do a little more info with that. At that point, the NWO had split into 2 groups.
Correct. Wolfpack, NWO.
Right. And that Kevin Nash had just defeated Bill Goldberg and beat stopped his undefeated streak
with a taser.
So they were meeting on Monday on Nitro, and this was the big match, and everybody was like, finally, Nash is getting his hands on Hogan, and it's gonna be great. And then the damn finger pointed doom.
And the reason, just to clarify for people, the reason they consider this the end of WCW, they call it the finger poke of doom, is because it basically said, screw you fans, NWO rules the world. We don't care what you say. Because not only did they destroy WCW's biggest homegrown star of all time with a taser, then fans were finally like, okay, at least we finally have Hogan versus Nash. Hell no. And that was basically the beginning to the end of WCW. But they returned to the WWF after WCW's ending. And this is where it kind of, I think a lot of people know more about of what we're leading to. So they returned in 2002. I'm trying to remember the pay-per-view.
I want to say No Way Out.
I believe you're correct. I think it's No Way Out. 2002. And basically, he came back and he was still, it was NWO. Scott Hall, Kevin Nash. Yeah, it was just Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, because X-Pac was 6 in NWO, but during the WWF, he was part of DX. There was no more X-Pac in NWO. It was just the main 3, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, and Hollywood Hogan. Basically, the 3 got in confrontation with The Rock and Stone Cold and all that good stuff. And that's what led to, a lot of people argue, the biggest WrestleMania match of all time. The Rock versus Hulk Hogan. I can tell you this much. There's an argument of it being the loudest WrestleMania match of all time. I mean, hell, man. Hell. And the reason it was, I do enjoy the match. The reason it was so good, Hogan did some of his best work during that time on the promos. And when he was like, he told Scott Hall and Kevin Nash he doesn't want them to interfere. That was also, in my opinion, The Rock's best time promos on the mic and all that. I think that was the best time, because that was when he coming out to do his concerts like in Sacramento and all that. It was golden, and it was a loud match. It was loud as hell. I mean, the match right went before the bell even rang. I mean, that place was screaming for Hogan. And man, but that was also the last time we see Hollywood Hogan, because right after that, Vince McMahon told them, told Hogan, you need to fly to Tampa, get your red and yellow shirt, and fly right back. Because they did not want the NWO anymore. They wanted Hogan back because of how big Hollywood Hogan had become. And that's when Hollywood Hogan died. Sadly. Like I said, Hollywood Hogan is one of my it's not just the best Hogan gimmick. It was literally the best, one of my favorite gimmicks of all time because of how just cocky he came out and just cool he was, man. This is just what it was. He was just cool. I mean, when he had the belt, he come out with his guitar. I mean, the NWO was just cool. It's just cool. That was the point of him. God.
The point of the reason why he was cool because he could literally be the ass he really is. They always say the best characters is yourself turned up 1,000. Hogan didn't have to turn it up 1,000. He just had to be himself. And voila! Look, wow, he's a jerk. Who could have seen that? Oh, I don't know. Maybe me and Bobby Heenan. I don't know.
Well, I knew you'd like this episode. The NWO was one of my favorite groups just because of, like I said, how cool they were. And that'll be we'll make a video of that one day. Just the whole NWO because that'll be a long video because of how many damn members there were. And how many times the Giant was in it and left and then came back. But Hollywood Hulk Hogan's gimmick of becoming heel was to this. I mean, some people argue, and it may actually be the biggest heel turn of all time because of who it was and when it was and the company it was for and who it was against. I mean, he leg dropped Randy Savage. I mean, holy hell. And just going from the red and yellow to the all black was just, and he even had the brown beard right here, man. I mean,
I guess if I was gonna say anything about positive about this Hogan was smart enough to latch on to Kevin Nash and Scott Hall because, I mean, let's just face it, they were the cool meter. They were the ones that people knew instantly they had a vibe. They were undeniable. And when Hogan got it, Hogan was like, well, hey, okay, cool. I can do this stuff. And it took Hogan to like you say, a different atmosphere because one thing about it, Hogan was internationally big. When he became Hollywood Hogan, he went to a place that nobody thought you could go after a gimmick like that.
correct,
So
correct.
I don't like him, but I give him all props like that and being smart as a businessman and being able to jump on a hot trend and to make it seem like it was his own. I give him credit for that.
Well, a couple facts about Hogan's heel turn. He literally, they decided to do the heel turn the night of. Actually, the before the match. Kevin Nash and Scott Hall went out there not knowing who the hell it was going to be. They were fighting not knowing who it was going to be. Hulk Hogan came out there and they didn't know if it was still him. Because Hulk Hogan didn't want to do it because he thought it would ruin his career, which I can understand that being who you are as a babyface. I mean, it could have, but now it was.
I was about to say at the time though, Hogan was getting booed out the place.
Yeah.
People were sick and tired of Hulkamania. And he had came to WCW. And a lot of people don't realize WCW and WWE are two different organizations because in WCW, that organization was based around real wrestling, grappling, the science of it.
Yeah.
And it was a slap in the face to a lot of old fans when Hogan got there because they believed if you're going to look at real traditional wrestling, it's Ric Flair than everybody else. So Hogan was in a bad place, and it just happened to be a good decision on their part. But I wanted to know, do you know who originally was supposed to be in the NWO?
And that's who I was gonna say. Sting was supposed to be the original person to do the heel turn. Are you talking about the heel turn or the
Yeah.
Because
it wasn't Sting.
They said it was Sting because Sting talked about it, and Hulk and the reason because Hulk Hogan in his own words, he said, we were thinking about Sting, but to Sting's credit, I love Sting to death, but it wouldn't have worked if it was Sting. That's what he said.
Right. But that was not the original guy they had in mind. Kevin Hall and Scott, Kevin and Scott had somebody else in mind.
Who was that?
Lex Luger.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay, that's true. Now that you say that, that's true. And it's funny.
Yeah.
Because that wouldn't have worked the same. It wouldn't have worked.
No, it wouldn't have. You are so right. Only Hogan was able to pull this off to make it as big as it was.
You know why?
Sting wouldn't have been able to do it. Luger wouldn't have been able to do it. Even Macho Man wouldn't have been able to do it.
The reason being is what you said, because Hogan was really like that in real life. Sting's a nice guy. Sting's a nice guy. Randy Savage was a pretty nice dude. Lex Luger, he's had his moments. But Hogan is a different story. Hogan knows who he is. Hogan's Hogan. And it's funny, everybody we named was part of NWO in some way, shape, or form.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. Everybody watching, that'll be another video for another time. Everybody we just named was part of NWO in some way, shape, or form. But yeah, the one that I 100% knew about was Sting, because they thought about it, because Sting at the time was like, he had the blonde hair, he had the face paint, he had the neon shorts, and they were like, all right, go turn heel. And then Sting was like, I don't know about that. And then that's when they were like, all right, well, Kevin Nash saw Sting was growing his hair out, and he's like, oh, I like your hair. You growing it out? And Sting was like, yeah. And Kevin Nash goes, have you ever seen The Crow? And that's what brought along the whole Crow gimmick. But no, if it was anybody, you could have named anybody in the wrestling business. If it was anybody else besides Hogan, it would not have worked out the same at all.
Because nobody had that draw like Hogan.
The star,
like you said,
the star,
exactly.
Power, the baby face. Even if he was getting booed out of the building, he was still the biggest baby face of all time at that time. I mean,
and which is even more funnier that a lot of people think this was the first time Hogan was a heel, and it's not. That's how Hogan started in the business, as a heel.
Yeah.
But that's a different story about why I hate Hulk Hogan.
Oh man. All right, Barry, we get it. You love Hogan. I'll get you an action figure.
Look, I can tell you this much. The AWA hates Hogan.
Okay, I understand why. Like I said, this is for a different story, but they hate him because he dipped out on him. But I mean, Vince McMahon was offering big bucks. Would you not have?
There's a way of doing things.
I know. I know. That's a story for a different time. Trust me, one day we'll get into it. But
there'll probably be a double episode of that one.
Yeah, that'll be a very long and and crazy episode, we could call it. But we appreciate everybody watching. Did you like Hollywood Hulk Hogan? Yes or no? Put it in the comics. Did you? We know Bear didn't. Bear's gonna dislike this video. But make sure you like, comment, subscribe, comment what you want to see. Tell us your favorite moments from Hollywood Hogan, your favorite NWO moments. Did you like The Rock versus Hogan? What else do you want to see? Go watch our other episodes from the B&B show. Go watch our other stuff on our YouTube channel. Make sure you share it, all that good stuff, and we'll see y'all next time.
I came from the UK. I can't and won't be stopped.
Come on, there you go. Get out there. Get out there. Get out.
And I will never give you a contract.
I tell you what, if you're gonna start off, you want to start off with one of the big guys. And to prove yourself, you want to knock them out.
This is the Wrestling Society Network.